Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly and welcome to Royal Ashdown Forest and this video in which we are looking at the 8 biggest golf rules mistakes. We've all played with people who've either inadvertently or perhaps slightly on purpose broken rules of golf, and we're looking at the 8 most common scenarios that happens in. In this video I'm joined by Jezz Ellwood. He's Golf Monthly's rules expert. He'll be able to talk through what you should and shouldn't be doing in all of these different positions. If you are new to the Golf Monthly channel, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. Hit the like button if you like what you're watching, and also leave comments below. Is there anything we've missed on the list below? Right, let's head out onto the golf course and look at the 8 biggest golf rules mistakes. Okay, so this one relates to how many club lengths relief you get when you take a drop. Now, Jez, there is a general rule of thumb here, isn't there? What is it?
General rule of thumb in golf is that it is 1 club length for free relief and 2 club lengths for a penalty drop. Generally, it's not 100% hard and fast though.
No, and the mistake that you might make that would cost you is if you end up taking 2 club lengths when you're taking free relief. You can't do that in the rules of golf. You'll get yourself into bother. Perhaps there might actually be a scenario in the rules of golf where that is permissible. Neither of us can think of it.
I don't know.
Without trawling through the whole rule book here and now, we can't think of one. So if there is one, please do leave a comment below. But Jez, most of the time when you take a penalty drop, you get 2 club lengths, but that's not always the case, including the scenario we're in.
Yeah, well, this is a penalty area. We're on the 5th hole here at Royal Ashdown. It's par 5 and there's a stream that cuts across in front of the green here. Now that is now a penalty area, not a water hazard, and if it was marked with red stakes, you would have 3 options. You can go back to where you last played from, if your ball has gone in there obviously, and play again from there, or you can drop back on line as far back as you like, or you can take 2 club lengths from where it last crossed the margin of the hazard, taking lateral relief.
And if you go for that lateral relief option, you get 2 club lengths, but if you go back on a line, you only get 1.
You do. Which
is definitely the best option here. So let's just play that out here. So I'll just hit my ball in there.
So we know it's crossed the margin of this penalty area at this point, going back on line, keeping the flag between you and where it crossed, you can go back as far as you like.
So here I've then got a club length.
Yeah.
So pick myself, club length, pick myself a nice...
Yeah, so we're saying that is your reference point.
Yeah.
You now get a club length from that in an arc round like that.
I quite like it over here. Drop that. That's
nice.
Pretty good.
Nice.
And then on you go.
Nicely nipped.
A little bit long.
Yeah, didn't quite check, did it?
But I'll take it. Okay, so play the ball as it lies. It's the oldest rule. It's probably is it the first rule in the book? It's just about the oldest rule in golf.
It's a strap line now, I think, probably.
Yeah. So it's the most important thing in golf. And one thing that I think I see quite a bit is a scenario like this. So you've hit your ball into some deep rough, you've found it, the lie isn't great, and the amount of times I will see people just give it a bit of that and then they'll go and hit. Now that is just downright cheating. Whether or not people know exactly that they're cheating, I think if they stop to think, they'd probably realise that they were cheating. You have to not do that. It's against the rules. Don't improve your lie by stamping down the rough. But there's a few other things to remember.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to say, I don't see that often, but then obviously most of the time the people are doing it, they don't want you to see it. So.
No, I'm talking about also in friendly golf. The amount of times
friendly golf, yeah.
Just go in, give it a bit of that, and then they hit it.
Yeah, another one that I do see a little bit more often is people picking their ball up to identify it without marking it.
So go down, they look at it, they go up, tightness number 1, and then they'll go, there we go. And they've done 2 things there. Yes. They've improved their lie, but also...
Well, I mean, the rule has changed in that you now no longer have to tell the people you're playing with that you want to identify your ball. So you don't have to call someone from 100 yards out the fairway to say, can you observe me lifting the ball, but you do still have to mark its position before you do it.
Yeah, so find a T-peg, put it down behind the ball, mark the position, identify it, put it back down exactly where it was before, and then you're okay.
That's it. I mean, the rule has changed, but it hasn't given you carte blanche just to pick your ball up whenever you like and plonk it back down.
Yeah.
That's one that I find is really quite misunderstood, and I'll often play, even in competitions, people just wander over, pick their ball up, plonk it back down.
Well, there you have it. If you're in any doubt, play the ball as it lies. If you need to find out whether the ball that you found is actually yours, don't go through any process without marking its position first. Okay, so number 6 on our list relates to the nearest point of relief. Jez,
Yeah.
the nearest point of relief is one spot.
It is.
It's not, you can't choose where your
Yes.
nearest point of relief is, and that's kind of the key bit of information here, I guess.
That is one of the keys, and the other key is it's not the nicest point of relief. So it's a bit of a cliche, but a lot of people kind of overestimate the extent to which they're able to get relief.
Yes.
And think that being in this position then entitles them to an absolutely perfect lie somewhere else, but it doesn't.
Not necessarily the case. So
No.
this is just beyond the green on the 17th, so overshot the 17th green by a little bit on a pathway, would get
Yes.
a free drop.
Yeah.
And it might feel like to me I could come up the hill slightly, no nearer the hole obviously, and I might feel like I can sort of drop it onto this area here
Yeah.
and play the ball from sort of there. But, Jez, that's
Yes.
not actually,
Well,
you're not allowed to do that.
You haven't taken complete relief. You have to take complete relief, but as you can see there, your right foot is still on the path from which you are taking relief.
Yes, so if you're taking relief, it has to be
Complete.
complete relief. And in this scenario,
Yes.
you might look around here and try and find a spot that's got a better lie, but ultimately, the only place you can really drop it is...
It's going to be here, so you would then choose the spot where you take complete relief from the path.
So,
It's got to be the nearest point
so
to
you
there.
take your stance.
Take your stance, and you need to be using, you should be using the club with which it would be reasonable to make the next shot. So
Wedge.
you couldn't use driver for this. It's a subtle distinction, but it could mean that you ended up taking a drop in a wrong place. So you need to, at this point, be using the club with which it would be reasonable to make the next stroke.
Which I am. So
Yeah.
my nearest point of relief, I think, is probably about there.
Okay, yep, your foot's off, ball's there. So now that is your reference point. You now get one club length in an arc around that in which to drop it.
And that is your option. That is where the choice
Yeah.
element comes in. So I can see that within a club length, Jez, I think around about here.
Yep, that's going to be
that's-
within, so that will be fine.
So here is slightly better lie
Yeah.
than it is here. It's the
Yeah.
best I can do. I'm not going to get a really clean lie like I would have done if I'd have been on the
No.
bit of fairway over there, but it's probably the best I can do and it's the best place to drop it.
Yeah, so now you've got obviously knee height. You can drop it on a tuft if possible,
I'll try.
and you might end up not too bad. And that, that's not the best lie. It's not the worst lie.
So I think the advice here is that nearest point of relief is one of those ones that a lot of golfers will end up breaking the rule, albeit inadvertently, in a bid to try and find the
Yeah.
best place to drop it as
Yeah.
opposed to the place. The nearest point of relief is
Yeah.
one spot.
It is, and just to our left here, there's some bushes, and there's another path right next to them. It could be that in certain circumstances, your nearest point of relief was in that bush.
Which brings a whole load of other problems into the equation. Right, I'm going to hit this shot.
Okay.
I can't look at it any longer. Need to get this up and down from a par, Jez.
Yep. Well, it's got half a chance. That should break right from there, but I think you just carried it a bit far.
I've missed the
That's,
slope. I've actually missed the green.
Almost certain bogey. Nice drive. High and right, opening up the green perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy with that, Jez.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
we have a problem.
We do have a slight problem in that looking along here, you are outside the teeing area. Your ball is in front of the line. All of the ball is in front of the line, which is a key thing as well. If part of it was still on the line, you'd be okay. All of the ball is in front of the line.
Yeah, it's something that everyone out there needs to be conscious of, because you see it quite a lot actually, of people just trying to pinch a little bit too much yardage, and I suspect most of the time it's inadvertently ending
Yeah,
up
definitely.
teeing the ball up just in front of
Yeah,
where the tee markers are.
absolutely.
And that can cause you problems. So what are the penalties, Jez?
Well, first let's just clarify, inside the teeing area is anything that isn't beyond the front of these markers and the outside there and goes back 2 club lengths.
You've got 2 club lengths to go back, and you can stand, so you can stand on the left-hand side of the tee, stand
there
outside
to play the ball inside it.
and play it inside. That's fine.
Teeing area is always a large rectangle or a small rectangle sometimes. If you tee up from outside it, there are penalties. In match play, there are optional penalties. There's no specific penalty, but you can be asked to play the ball again by your opponent.
Right, so if you've hit a good shot,
Yeah.
you'll end up having to play it
Yeah,
again.
I mean,
If
this
you hit
is
a
a
bad shot.
drivable par 4. Some days you might knock it on. Those days, if you teed up from outside, your opponent may well say, play it again.
Play it again. But in stroke play, the penalties
Yes.
sort of much more severe, isn't
Yeah,
it, really?
in stroke play, it has big ramifications. It's the general penalty, which is 2 strokes. And beyond that, you have to correct the error. And you have to correct the error by playing another ball from within the teeing area, and you must do that before you tee off on the next hole. Or if it's the final hole, you must do that before you return your scorecard. If you don't, the penalty, I'm afraid, escalates to DQ.
Yeah, so I mean, in all likelihood, it's going to be one of those scenarios that you hit the ball, and then someone in the group, or even you yourself, notice that it's in front of the tee marker. You then have to correct the mistake, add 2 shots to your score, and then on you go. If you had a particularly difficult playing partner, they could choose to tell you after you finished, after you teed off on the next hole. And if they did that, I suspect the two of you won't be speaking much in the future.
I can actually vouch for that, because it did happen to me many years ago in an open competition in Chichester. Teed off from actually between one of the markers and a sprinkler head. Someone told me immediately afterwards that obviously been waiting for me to tee off before doing that, and there wasn't a lot of chat for the next 3 hours. There wasn't a lot of chat for the next 3 hours. Let's say that.
So be aware, if you're anytime you're on the tee, anytime you're pegging the ball up, make sure you do it within the teeing ground. It's very easy to do, but it's also quite easy to get it wrong, and if you do, the penalties can be quite severe. So the next one on our list relates to who has the honour when, particularly in a match play scenario. So what you're watching here on screen is a sort of typical thing that happens, isn't it, in a match play? And actually, I am breaking the rules here. How?
You are. I've had this a few times actually. People think that you can tap in match play after you've left a putt close. Now, that was quite close, wasn't it? But you could be putting really poorly one day.
I am putting really poorly.
He was putting really poorly
really
before we did that.
Gimme.
I wasn't going to give it, and I'm further away, so you now have played out of turn.
Played out of turn. So what are your options then?
Well, my options are just to let it go. Or I can
which you're probably going to do, let's be honest.
I mean, if this situation occurred, I would want to try and get in first and say, can you just mark that or something?
Yes.
Rather than try and deal with it after the event.
After the event.
Let's say I've decided I'm not going to give it to you, you've tapped it in, I could ask you to then replay it. No penalty to yourself, other than that you might miss it the next time.
Yeah, the point is, don't put yourself in that position if you can avoid it. Just make sure that if you putt it up close but just outside of gimme range in match play, put a mark on it, let your opponent play, and then tap it in. Don't get these awkward situations.
No, it can cause awkwardness, and I think the key thing is people are thinking ready golf, but ready golf doesn't apply to match play, and it certainly wouldn't apply to this situation here where psychologically I'm thinking, I get mine in, you might well miss yours, and that's part of match play, isn't it? So I don't think there's anything underhand in that, but just remember you have no right to just go up and tap your ball in.
Right, Jez, next one on our list relates to the provisional ball rule. So you've hit one into a bit of trouble off the tee. You think it might be lost, but you're not sure. You want to hit another one to save time. What do you have to do?
Well, you have to say this is a provisional ball, or you have to say that you're going to proceed under the rule number, which is rule 18.3, but I would strongly suggest that it's a lot simpler just to say provisional ball. But the thing is, the rules even say this, it is not enough for you only to say that you're playing another ball or are playing again. The word provisional is key. You might think we're being nerdy or pedantic. We don't write the rules, we're just trying to help people understand what they need to do, and I would say this is still the most commonly broken rule that I witness when I'm out playing. Even among golfers who've been playing for some time, I think a lot of people just genuinely think reload or hitting another is enough, but the rules say it isn't. Yeah,
as Jez said, we've all done it where the red mist descends, you're not particularly happy about the state of affairs, you just turn to the person you're playing with and say, I'll hit another. That's not good enough, you have to use the word provisional. If you don't, then the second shot you hit from the tee will become the ball in play. And that can cause you problems, because if you end up finding the first ball and want to play that, then you can't, and you could end up getting disqualified.
Yeah, and of course you never have a choice between balls either. You can't get up there, and one thing in golf is you never have a choice between which ball you can play. And once you haven't said provisional, then I'm afraid that's it.
So there you have it. Really important there for anyone playing golf. If you're playing in a competition, use the word provisional if you want to hit a second one off the tee. Otherwise, you could get into a little bit of bother. The next one to talk about relates to sprinkler heads, and you might not be able to see it too well from the camera, but there is a sprinkler head just down here. And if your ball came to rest in the position of this first ball here, there's no two ways about it. With a shot like this, water just past the flag, there's no way I would ever want to chip this. I'd be wanting to putt this every day of the week. But Jez, automatically, you don't get relief from this position in the rules of golf.
No, in the rules of golf, you'd only get relief if your ball was on the sprinkler head, your stance was on the sprinkler head, or interfered with the the line of your swing. So in this instance, I'm afraid under the rules of golf, you are either going to have to putt it through the sprinkler head or chip it over it.
Chip it over it. So
Yeah.
that's the mistake to be wary of.
Yes.
Make sure that you check the back of your scorecard,
Yes.
because that is where you will find the local rules, and
Yes.
you might well find you get a little bit of help from the local
Yes.
rules.
I don't know how many clubs do have this local rule. Certainly here at Royal Ashdown they do, and it gives you additional relief if that sprinkler head is within 2 club lengths of the putting surface and your ball lies within 2 club lengths of the sprinkler head and it is right on your line, you would get relief.
So those 3 things you have to bear in mind: 2 club lengths for the green, 2 club lengths for the ball, and it has to be on your line. If it's not quite on your line, then you don't get the relief.
You don't. And it has to be a local rule. If the local rule isn't in force, there is nothing in the rules of golf that will give you relief from that sprinkler head from that position.
And we've measured this one out. So even with the local rule, this ball here, you do not get relief from, because it's just outside the 2 driver lengths.
2 driver lengths, and don't forget, a club length is now the longest club in your bag other than the putter.
Yes. So the simple piece of advice here is, if you are close to the green and you are stymied behind a sprinkler head, don't automatically start taking relief. You won't necessarily get it under the rules of golf. Check the back of your scorecard to make sure, and then if you do, run through those other little bits. Just make sure you get it right so that you don't end up being penalised. Okay, so number 1 on our list is declaring your ball lost. It's something that you see happen an awful lot, where people will be in a certain position and they'll say, I'll just declare that lost and play another ball. Jez, talk about a specific scenario behind us where that might happen.
Okay, let's just say you've hit a ball, first ball into those ferns there, not sure if you're going to find it. You have said provisional, so that's fine. You've hit another one straight down the middle. You get up there, someone finds your ball buried completely in those ferns, totally unplayable, and you say, I'm going to declare that one lost, or carry on with the provisional. Well, you can't do that, unfortunately.
You're going to have
as soon
to
as you've found the original ball, it is not lost.
Yes.
There is no capacity within the rules to declare a ball lost. A ball is lost if it's not found within 3 minutes of the search time.
Yeah, now you can decide not to look for it. You could walk up there and say, do you know what, if I find that, it's going to be worse than if I don't find it, therefore I'm not going to look for it. And you can even say to your playing partners, I'd prefer it if you didn't look for it. But they don't have to do what
They don't have to, and you would
say.
hope that most would. You would hope that most would think that's fine, but there just might be the odd circumstance, or maybe
in a match,
two of you aren't getting on, and he knows it's going to be to his advantage that you find the original ball. I mean, if you really don't want to have any risk of finding the ball in an unplayable position, just don't say provisional. And then when you hit the second one, even if you find the first one, it doesn't matter. But you can't declare it lost. You cannot declare a golf ball lost.
So there you have it, declaring a ball lost. Don't do it. So there you have it. Those were the biggest golf rules mistakes that we think that we see fairly regularly, and most of the time these golf rules are being broken by accident, people unintentionally breaking the rules. But you really need to be careful, because they're going to lead to penalty shots, or worse, they might lead to disqualification and even a bad reputation developing in the clubhouse after, which is something that every golfer really wants to miss. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please do hit the like button and also comment below. Do you have any questions, or do you have any suggestions of other rules that golfers might be breaking inadvertently? We'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. But for now, from Royal Ashdown Forest Golf Club, it's goodbye.